One of the first games that I ever played on a PC was back in 1999. There was this new game from this small indie gaming company called Valve. Yeah, you heard of it, I'm talking about Half-Life. That first experience with a first-person shooter fascinated me. I would spend hours exploring and trying to progress through the game, swinging my crowbar and breaking open boxes. It was one of the first nostalgic experiences I had with gaming, aside from playing Aladdin on the Super Nintendo. I also had a PlayStation 1. Spyro and Crash Bandicoot were fun, but nothing won me over the same way that Half-Life did. So it was no surprise when other versions of the game came out, I continued to play. I remember playing Half-Life Opposing Force, and being able to play as someone other than Gordon Freeman was so cool to my 10-year-old brain. One of the first times that I ever stepped foot in the Counter-Strike mod of Half-Life, the idea of a competitive first-person shooter fried my frontal cortex, and my dopamine receptors would never be the same. Thus began a long affinity with Valve's Half-Life love child, Counter-Strike. Way before CSGO, there was Counter-Strike 1.6. One of my favorite things about 1.6 was the custom maps and custom game mods. I spent hours on a Warcraft 3 mod server, leveling up my different racial abilities and classes. My brother and I bonded over dominoes and camping in corners. It was mods like this that kept me playing this game for 20 years. My brother also introduced me to Counter-Strike surfing. I didn't like it at first. It was challenging and I didn't quite understand it. I'd always fall off the side and I couldn't get why he cared so much about how much FPS he was getting while he did it. Counter-Strike Conditionzero was one of the first times that I actually gave surfing a chance. I finally got the hang of it and managed to get my strafing under control. It took me a long time to realize that you can't push W when you're surfing. You can only use the strafe keys to build momentum and ride the walls like a hot knife through butter. I've never been particularly good at surfing, and I didn't ever surf as much as my brother did, but the whole ethos of surfing really keeps my brother's spirit alive for me. I didn't really play Counter-Strike Source much because I spent most of my gaming time on either World of Warcraft or Call of Duty. By the time CSGO finally released in August of 2012, I had a decent enough computer to actually play PC games. I racked up over 2,000 hours in CSGO over the next decade, and I'd occasionally find myself browsing community servers for a Warcraft 3 mod or a surf map. I never found another Warcraft 3 mod, so I've never been able to relive those moments. But surfing was still alive and well all through the lifespan of CSGO. I was browsing YouTube and I came across a bunch of speedruns of Half-Life. It really reminded me of surfing, the way they would bunny hop and fly through the game in similar style. So it made me curious to see if the surfing community was still alive in Counter-Strike. In September of 2023, Valve released the 5th entry in the Counter-Strike series, CS2. It was about time that Valve slapped some lipstick on this pig and made an updated version of the game we all love. And although I miss some of the nostalgic maps from 1.6, I'd love to see some of the 1.6 maps in the competitive rotation of Counter-Strike 2. You'd think with the amount of revenue Valve makes from the skins market, they could afford to revamp more maps. Nonetheless, I proceeded on my quest to see if the Counter-Strike surfing scene was still alive. I started by downloading CS 1.6, and to my surprise there was over 4,000 active 1.6 servers. I'm not sure how many of those were fake ad servers filled with bots, but it did look quite alive. However, I couldn't find an active surf map, so I moved on. I logged into conditionzero and only found a handful of active servers, so it was time for me to see if there were any active surf maps in Counter-Strike 2. To my surprise, there were only a handful of active surf maps in the community, and very few even had players. I also found that for some reason, the surfing didn't feel smooth. It felt like there was a texture issue or a bug that would stop me dead in my tracks, and the effortless glide that I fell in love with felt clunky and abrupt. I was still so happy to see that Counter-Strike surfing was alive, and gamers were still thriving in the corners of the community browser. I decided to also take to YouTube to see if there were any surf videos being posted. From what I found, there were only a couple of active creators still posting surf videos, but I stumbled upon a video of a Roblox version of Counter-Strike, Counterblocks. I had to try it. For the first time ever, I installed Roblox, just so I can surf. Unfortunately, my account was too new to play Counterblocks, but I was able to shred some pixels on a surf game mode and was surprised at how seamless the gameplay was. This brought me to my conclusion. The Counter-Strike surfing was still alive and well. The fact that Roblox had surfing made me feel like future generations would get to experience this great pastime. The surf community has shrunk quite a bit, and it seems almost like it's more popular on Roblox than on Counter-Strike these days. It's not as big as it once was, but it's not dead. It is evidently a game mode that has survived over 20 years and hopefully survives another 20 more. Maybe one day I'll actually be good at it.